This is so neat, so cool, I wanted you to know about it. They're going after terrorism, basically trying to bankrupt terrorist organizations using the court system and having some success with it. Today, the Canadian Council on International Law is sponsoring an event that will take place at Foreign Affairs, where the speaker at 11 o'clock this morning is going to be Israeli attorney Nitsana Darshan-Leitner, the director of the Tel Aviv-based counter-terrorist group Shurat HaDin, the Israel Law Center. And this attorney, Nitsana Darshan-Leitner, joins us now on CFRA. Good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
You were able to, as I understand it, get a successful lawsuit on behalf of some victims of terrorism against the Syrian government for $338 million in damages in a district court in Washington. How are you going to collect on that money? How do you actually get the money after winning the lawsuit?
Well, going after Syria is a little bit hard, but not impossible. We know that Syria has assets. They're working with companies that are, doing business in the United States and other countries in Europe. And we have researchers who are looking into these companies, into these assets, into the banks that are partially owned by the Syrian government, and we are going to collect a judgment against the third parties' assets. In general, collecting money against states is not waiting for the states to come and pay for judgment. It's going after their assets who are held by third parties. And we did it before. We did it before with Iran. We were able to collect frozen Iranian bank accounts or buildings in the United States, and I think it was in Rome. And they will do the same thing with Syria and North Korea, which we have also judgment against it.
So you have legal actions underway in several countries, including in Canada, in the courts against groups like Hamas and Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah, and your intent will be to seize their assets in these countries.
Right. Not only seize their assets, but block the money that is going from their headquarters into their activities in Gaza, in Israel, Judea and Samaria, West Bank, and elsewhere in South Lebanon. Terror organizations need funds, right? They needed to purchase their weapons when they have to buy it in the when they cannot buy it in the free market, they have to pay 5 times the amount. So they need a lot of money. They need to give free food to the population, to control the population, to gain loyalty, and to continue operating in their territories. And they have to maintain their military. They have soldiers. They don't wear uniforms, but they have soldiers who are waiting for the day to be called to carry out attacks inside Israel and elsewhere around the world. And until this day, they have their own payroll. They get salary. So basically, the budget, for instance, of Hamas in Gaza is $500 million. Budget of Hezbollah is $1 billion. And in order to receive this money, they have to use the banking system. And we are going after the banks that provide financial services to organizations. We are blocking the money from going to the banks to the extent that banks are very, very afraid today of carrying a liability of, lawsuits on behalf of terror victims against them. So they just close accounts that belong to terror organizations, refuse to deal with Islamic charities that identify the terror organizations, and refuse to operate in terror zones, areas that controlled by terror organizations like Gaza, like South Lebanon. If you go to Gaza, you won't find any international bank. There is no banking system in Gaza.
You've given new meaning to the old phrase, follow the money. Thanks very much for joining us.
Absolutely.